The Soviet Union was the first state to eliminate religion, and this was the objective of the government. The most organized religions were outlawed. They were highly discouraged through means of violence and brutality. This was based on the Marxism-Leninism, which encouraged the disappearance of religion. This is based off the belief that religion was unscientific and superstitious, not founded on anything concrete.
League of Militant Godless, 1920s to 1930s, active in the anti-religious propaganda. Atheism became normal in schools, communist organizations, and the media. One such communist organization was the Young Pioneer Organization. Yep, I'm going to give you some time to write this down. I kind of read a little fast there, but hey, it's all good in the hood.
A lot of effort was put into the eradication of religion, but this mostly varied depending on the interests of the time. For example, many Christians were seen openly celebrating Easter in 1923, but previously they had been persecuted for the similar acts. The effort also varied depending on the religions. Some religions were treated more harshly depending on the nationality, where they were in the country, and who was practicing. This
Communist regime confiscated church property, ridiculed religion, harassed believers, and propagated atheism in schools. Oh my God.
Judaism became highly attacked within the Soviet Union. It also became impossible to practice within the Soviet Union because of how harshly the government and the police forces were coming down on Judaism. In 1919, the Jewish Community Council was abolished. There was a Jewish section of parties that were created specifically for creating anti-Jewish propaganda. Rabbis were no longer able to become trained in what they were meant to do. They were no longer.
Jehovah's Witnesses were present in the Union as well. In 1951, about 9,000 Jehovah's Witnesses deported to Siberia. Still, the number of Jehovah's Witnesses grew over time to almost 20,000. Whoa, 20,000 in the late 1960s.
Russian Mennonites faced serious violence, persecution, and restrictions of freedom within the Soviet Union. They were immigrants. They emigrated to Germany, Britain, the United States, and some parts of South America to escape these religious persecutions and to gain religious freedoms. All they wanted was to be able to practice in peace and not be judged and beaten down and told they couldn't do it anymore.
Islam! Woohoo! There was a large number of Muslims. Oh yes, there was a large number of Muslims. Muslims were susceptible to foreign influence, but accepted Soviet authority. Until 1941, Islam was suppressed by force. The Nazi invasion caused the Soviet Union to tolerate Islam, officially, although they encouraged.
The Soviet Union and the government and the police force and many citizens were afraid of pan-Islamic movements. To avoid these movements, the Soviet Union split Muslims into 6 separate Muslim republics. Each republic had a different culture and language, and this limited religious activities in these republics. And within these republics, religious freedoms were allowed for the Islamic people. They were allowed to practice how they wanted.
Georgian Orthodox Church, very oppressed until World War II, giving greater freedom for getting war support from church members. Freedom still greatly restricted, however. Write it down.
After World War II, the Georgian Orthodox Church saw their freedoms taken away and harsh restrictions were brought back. They were not allowed to serve outside of the Georgian Republic. Many churches were closed, and oftentimes churches had to conduct services in Old Church Slavonic rather than their Georgian language. This was all to oppress them in how they were celebrating and how they were praising the Lord in their own ways, they were told.
Now, Soviet Union had anti-religious campaign in 1920s and 1930s. Targeted Russian Orthodox Church. Had largest number of faithful.
The Autocephalous Orthodox Church of Belorussia in the Ukraine was seen as a very nationalistic church. Even though they were seen as this, they were oppressed and suppressed in the 1920s and in 1944. The number of religious leaders in these churches greatly decreased, seeing 2,000 Belarusian priests killed or sent to labor camps. Believers were intensely harassed and put down for their views.
Ukrainian Catholic Church, 1939, fell under Soviet rule because Western Ukraine became part of the Soviet Union through the Nazi-German Non-Aggression Pact. In 1941, many Ukrainian Catholic priests were killed or deported to Siberia. 1944 to 1946, forcibly subordinated to the Russian Orthodox Church.
Within the Ukrainian Church, many believers and most clergies were shot or sent to labor camps. Church publications were prohibited, theological schools had been closed, and in 1939, 500 of more than 50,000 churches remained. Again, this is all just to suppress and oppress Christianity and to stop the spread and to stop religion at its roots, not allowing people to praise.
Now, other campaigns targeted religions that recognized foreign religious authorities and nationalities. Now, the Roman Catholic Church is one example with the Pope. In 1926, no bishops left the Soviet Union from Roman Catholic Church. Also in 1941, two of about 1,200 churches from 1970, not 70, still exist.
Other prosecuted religions included Protestant denominations and other sects of Christianity. The All-Union Council of Evangelical Christian Baptists was established in 1944 by a government to give government some control over Protestant sects. It had to limit its activities to narrow acts of worship, and the council was denied the ability to create publications or having any religious teachings. This showed that even when you had power, the government could shut you down.
Joseph Stalin revived Russian Orthodox Church in 1941 to gain support for war effort after Nazi Germany's attack. In 1957, around 22,000 churches had become active. Later on in 1959 and later, another campaign was launched to once again shut down any churches. Thank you for your time, and God bless.